I am Tina Kraus, Senior Communications Advisor at the Department of National Defense, and I'll be your moderator for today's call. Today's session will provide you with an update on some of the Department of Defense's efforts to address conduct and culture, with a particular focus on the expansion of support services for survivors of sexual misconduct within the Canadian Armed Forces, the Department of National Defense, and the veteran community. This session will last up to 50 minutes, beginning with remarks from Lieutenant General Jennie Carignan, Chief Professional Conduct and Culture, and Dr. Denise Preston, Executive Director of the Sexual Misconduct Response Centre, otherwise known as the SMRC. They are joined by Crystal Garrett-Baird, Acting Assistant Deputy Minister, Strategic Policy and Commemorations from Veterans Affairs Canada, who will be available to answer questions related to services for veterans during the question and answer period that follows. Simultaneous interpretation is available. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you will see in the interpretation button, you can choose which language you wish to hear this in, although the presentations will be bilingual. And if you don't wish to hear the presentations from the floor, please click on the mute original audio button. Closed captioning is also active, and you can get that off your screen by closing it in the More menu of your Zoom. Now we will begin with remarks from Lieutenant General Carignan.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. Merci beaucoup de vous joindre à nous cet après-midi. I'm Lieutenant General Jennie Carignan. I've been serving for the past 35 years in the military, and as such, I've pretty much been spending most of my adult life as part of this institution. And over time, I've gone through and observed many changes in our way of conducting our business. And I have also I get a lot of my inspiration from the important role that we do for the Canadians and for Canada. I'm very much inspired by our mission and the honorable role that we have. And I fundamentally love this organization, and I fundamentally love also the people who are part of it, doing this very important work. So Dr. Preston and I are very much pleased today to provide you with an update on some of the Department of Defense effort to address conduct and culture. Across the globe, the Canadian Armed Forces and defense team members do incredible work every single day. And case in point, my older son is on his way back from a deployment to Latvia tomorrow. So we'll be hopefully spending the holidays together this year. So that would be quite a significant achievement for him to do that. And of course, the dedication of our CAF members, we are extremely proud of, and the contribution that they do to the stability in the world. Mais nous savons très bien que la culture institutionnelle que nous souhaitons et prônons ne correspond pas à la réalité vécue par tout le monde. Il faut donc éliminer, modifier et renforcer certains aspects de notre culture pour corriger la situation. Nous avons entendu les témoignages bouleversants des expériences vécues par des membres de l'équipe de la défense, d'anciens membres et des membres actuels, des personnes dont la vie a été affectée par l'inconduite sexuelle pendant qu'elles étaient au service de leur pays. And we've seen close to 19,000 claims submitted as part of the DND and CAF sexual misconduct class action lawsuit. In recognition of these institutional failings, early this week, Minister Annan, Deputy Minister Jody Thomas, and Chief of Defense Staff General Wayne Eyre offered a public apology to all current and former members of the defense team who have been affected by sexual assault, sexual harassment, or discrimination based on sex, gender identity, or sexual orientation. This apology recognized the harms people have suffered and acknowledged National Defense and Canadian Armed Forces responsibilities and their failure to effectively prevent an environment where sexual misconduct and other inappropriate behaviors have persisted. But an apology is not enough, and the time has come for action. C'est pourquoi nous avons intensifié nos efforts à l'échelle de l'équipe de la Défense pour bâtir un environnement qui est sécuritaire et accueillant pour tous ses membres. J'aimerais maintenant prendre quelques minutes pour vous en dire plus sur notre approche pour instaurer un changement de culture institutionnelle dans une organisation aussi vaste et complexe que la nôtre. Il faut une approche délibérée, multidimensionnelle et coordonnée. Early this year, on April 29th, the stand-up of the Chief Professional Conduct and Culture team was announced, and I was honored to take on such an important role. Since that time, we have brought over 200 people into this new organization to do the crucial work of unifying and driving culture change. One of our team's first tasks was to create a framework that would guide our work going forward. Selon une approche globale de l'équipe de la Défense, nous avons élaboré le plan Voie du progrès, une approche agile et flexible à l'égard de la conduite et de la culture. Ce plan présente certains des principaux efforts en cours et prévus à court et à moyen terme pour remédier aux préjudices subis par des membres de l'équipe de la Défense, pour prévenir d'autres préjudices et pour réaliser un changement de culture positif et durable. Pathways to Progress has 3 areas of focus: supports to survivor, justice and accountability, and finally, culture change. The Supports to Survivor line of effort aims to build comprehensive support structures through dialogue with survivors, increased scope, and access to resources. The Justice and Accountability line of effort focuses on the timely and appropriate resolution of cases while ensuring procedural fairness and transparency. It tracks the implementation of recommendations from a multitude of reports and studies, as well as an examination of options for external reporting mechanisms. L'axe de changement de culture vise à établir une approche cohésive et complète du changement de culture dans l'ensemble de l'équipe de la Défense pour que tous les membres de l'équipe éprouvent un sentiment d'appartenance, soient valorisés pour leur capacité unique et soient encouragés à être eux-mêmes dans leur milieu de travail. Voie du progrès est un plan d'envergure et par conséquent, nous tiendrons régulièrement des séances d'information approfondies sur chacun des axes. Today, we will primarily focus on supports to survivor. This line of effort is led by the Sexual Misconduct Response Centre, and the Executive Director, Dr. Denise Preston, will provide information about a number of key initiatives in this area. Following Dr. Preston's presentation, I will provide a brief update on a few of the initiatives underway as part of the Culture Change line of effort, and then we will be both happy to answer your questions. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Dr. Preston.
Merci, Général Carignan. Bonjour, je suis heureuse d'avoir l'occasion de vous parler aujourd'hui de certains des travaux récents du Centre d'intervention sur l'inconduite sexuelle. Je suis Dr. Denise Preston, psychologue judiciaire et clinicienne avec plus de 30 ans d'expérience dans le traitement des comportements nuisibles et criminels et je suis la directrice exécutive du Centre d'intervention sur l'inconduite sexuelle, ou CIIS, depuis mai 2017. The SMRC was established in 2015 with a mandate to provide support services to Canadian Armed Forces members who have been affected by sexual misconduct. The Centre is independent from the CAF chain of command, and I report directly to the Deputy Minister of National Defence. All of my staff are civilians, which means they do not have a duty to report incidents that are disclosed to them. While the SMRC is independent from the CAF chain of command, we work in collaboration with CAF to best meet the needs of members. Depuis 2015, notre mandat s'est élargi de sorte qu'il compose désormais de 3 grands piliers. Offrir des services de soutien aux membres des forces armées canadiennes qui sont affectés par l'inconduite sexuelle. Offrir des conseils de spécialistes sur tous les aspects de l'inconduite sexuelle au sein des forces armées canadiennes, y compris les politiques, la prévention, les personnes qui commettent de l'inconduite sexuelle, le signalement et la recherche, et suivre les progrès des forces armées canadiennes en matière d'inconduite sexuelle. Notre objectif principal a toujours été et continuera d'être d'offrir des services de soutien. Until recently, we offered 3 programs. One is a 24/7 phone line, which is accessible to CAF members no matter where in the world they are serving. It is staffed by bilingual counselors who provide confidential support, and callers can remain anonymous if they choose. This program provides a range of services depending on client needs. It includes immediate risk and safety planning, crisis management, supportive counseling, information, referrals, and facilitated reporting. Another is what we call our Response and Support Coordination Program, which provides members with a dedicated counselor to support them from the time of first disclosure to when they decide they no longer need our services. This program provides all of our 24/7 services, plus advocacy, accompaniment, assistance with workplace accommodations, and other practical assistance. Our third program is a contribution program where we provide funding to a number of sexual assault centers across the country that are in close proximity to CAF bases. This provides a range of community-based service options to meet the needs of the CAF community. En avril de cette année, le budget 2021 a alloué une somme importante au ministère de la Défense nationale pour améliorer les services de soutien aux personnes qui ont vécu de l'inconduite sexuelle. Je suis heureuse d'annoncer que ce financement a récemment été obtenu par le biais du Conseil du Trésor. Par conséquent, le CIIS a fait des progrès significatifs cette année pour étendre les services existants et développer de nouveaux programmes. Specifically, we have expanded our client base so that we now serve Department of National Defence public service employees and former CAF members, including veterans. We are expanding the reach of our services by creating regional sites across the country. We will be expanding to the Quebec and Pacific regions this year and to the Atlantic, Ontario, and Prairie regions next year. We have just launched a restorative engagement program as part of the final settlement agreement for the sexual misconduct class action lawsuit. This program creates opportunities where class members are supported to share their experiences, knowledge and understanding of sexual misconduct and its causes and impacts, for defense representatives to acknowledge and learn from these experiences, and to take individual and collective responsibility for its causes and impacts, and for these experiences and learnings to contribute to broader culture change efforts. We co-developed this program with CAF's Integrated Complaint and Conflict Management Program and conducted extensive consultations with internal and external partners and stakeholders, most notably with hundreds of affected persons, those with lived experience. This innovative program holds tremendous potential to transform the culture, and there is significant interest in the program across DND CAF. As a joint initiative with Veterans Affairs Canada, we are co-developing a peer support program with key stakeholders, including persons with lived experience and CAF Transition Group. This program will offer flexibility in how survivors are able to participate, including both face-to-face and online formats. We have just developed a proposed program model based on extensive consultations with the survivor community and numerous external subject matter experts, and we expect to launch this program by June of 2022. We will be launching a mobile application to serve as a centralized online platform for support services and resources for those affected by sexual misconduct. We are currently beta testing this application. We will begin using it to offer services that we currently offer by phone, and then we'll adapt it for use as the online peer support application. We are evolving our existing transfer payment program to a grant program that will provide greater funding flexibility and expand the types of organizations that are eligible for funding, and to increase the geographic reach of the program. We also intend to seek innovative programs to address specific needs, such as remote or underserved populations. We expect to launch a national call for proposals early in the new year with a view to getting money out the door to these community partners at the start of next fiscal year. To increase access to justice for victims of sexual misconduct within the military, and to support the eventual implementation of the Declaration of Victims' Rights, we are developing a program to provide independent legal advice. Most provincial and territorial jurisdictions have a similar program, so we seek to close the gap on this inequity for military victims. We expect to have this in place early next fiscal year. Enfin, nous avons lancé un programme de recherche visant à mieux prévenir les inconduites sexuelles, à mieux comprendre qui commet ces comportements et dans quelles circonstances, et à contribuer à l'élaboration d'outils de prise de décision pour les dirigeantes et dirigeants. Nous avons reçu l'approbation éthique pour notre proposition et nous nous préparons à commencer la collecte des données. I would like to take a moment to speak to the Survivor Support Consultation Group report that will be released in the coming days. Like the Restorative Engagement Program, this report stemmed from one of the policy measures of the final settlement agreement. The purpose was to engage in consultations to make recommendations on how to enhance survivor supports in the CAF. I want to specifically acknowledge the efforts of the 3 class members and 3 external subject matter experts who were part of the consultation group. The report reinforces the need for all survivor support initiatives to be grounded in broader culture change efforts, to be survivor-centered and trauma-informed, and to reflect an attitude of cultural humility in recognition of the biases and historical trauma experienced by many survivors with intersecting identities. It makes 45 recommendations across 5 themes. The department has provided a comprehensive response to the report that acknowledges this body of work and commits to further analysis and implementation. This response will be released with the report. I encourage you all to access it online when it is available, and we welcome your input and assistance going forward. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Preston. And as you can see, the work that the SMRC is doing is absolutely key to our cultural change agenda for our institution. And I do believe that a change is possible. In my 35 years of service, I have never seen such engagement and commitment to the issue of culture change as it is right now. Il reste beaucoup de travail difficile et complexe à accomplir, mais je suis très emballée par ce qui a été réalisé jusqu'à maintenant. Et je me réjouis d'avoir l'occasion de souligner quelques-unes des initiatives clés qui sont en cours. À la base, les efforts déployés par la Défense nationale en matière de changement de culture doivent garantir que les expériences vécues par les gens dans le cadre de leur travail et de leurs interactions soit conforme aux valeurs et à l'éthique de l'organisation. Since the launch of this renewed approach to culture change, the department has been engaging with internal partners and external stakeholders to learn from their lived experiences and gather their feedback and suggestions. These discussions helped us shape our priorities, and CPCC is already moving forward with a number of important initiatives based on what we have heard. Some of our ongoing efforts include extensive consultations across the entire defense team. In October, we kicked off a comprehensive conduct and culture consultation for the defense team. The consultations will run until February 2022 and offer military and civilian members a range of opportunities to share their perspectives on the state of culture across the defense team and their suggestions for what we must do to foster a safe, more welcoming workplace for all. To date, 149 sessions have been held, connecting with over 5,500 defense team members, and this consultation process is giving defense team members a voice and a say on how we proceed. We still have many more discussions planned, so it is too early to draw any final conclusions, but I can tell you that what we are hearing confirms that we have identified the priorities on the target. It is also very clear that agents of change are present throughout our organization and our members are hungry for change. 5 autres initiatives prioritaires consistent notamment à, premièrement, examiner et restructurer le système de gestion des plaintes pour offrir aux membres de la défense une approche intégrée, efficace, simple et uniforme en matière de gestion des conflits et des plaintes. Cette approche révisée sera axée sur les personnes affectées et sur leurs besoins. Deuxièmement, bâtir une main-d'œuvre inclusive en améliorant la façon dont nous nous y prenons pour choisir, former et promouvoir nos dirigeants, ainsi qu'assurer l'intégration d'un processus plus inclusif en tout temps. Third, improving military promotion and selection processes by applying a GBA Plus analysis to all scoring criteria to ensure that diverse groups within the organization are treated fairly, and enhancing diversity and representativeness on the fall national selection boards. Fourth, introducing more support for workplace culture intervention and actions. For example, we are piloting a new leadership support team project at the Canadian Forces Leadership and Recruit School. This team will work with military and civilian leaders and provide recommendations to help them understand the cultural dynamics of entry-level training and how we socialize new members joining the military. This team will enable leaders to make informed decisions and take action via interventions in a timely manner. Fifth, building restorative services capability across the defense team, which promotes accountability, encourages the voluntary and active participation of all involved, and contributes to long-lasting institutional change. Bref, nous cherchons à prendre des mesures qui auront une incidence plus immédiate tout en jetant les fondements nécessaires pour composer avec les problèmes culturels systémiques à long terme. De plus, nous travaillons à la mise en œuvre du changement de la culture tout en nous préparant à recevoir les recommandations de l'examen externe complet et indépendant dirigé par l'ancienne juge de la Cour suprême, Mme Louise Arbour. These are just a few examples of our important ongoing work. In addition, there is important and substantial work underway in the justice and accountability line of effort. As you are likely aware, Minister Anand announced last month that she accepted an interim recommendation from Madame Arbour's review that the civilian criminal justice system exercise primary jurisdiction over sexual assaults and criminal offenses of a sexual nature which are alleged to have been committed by a CAF member. The Canadian Forces Provost Marshal and the Director of Military Prosecution immediately started to work with their civilian counterparts to implement this recommendation, and we expect to be in a position to provide an update on military justice modernization work in the new year. Pour terminer, je souhaite mettre l'accent sur le fait que la mise en œuvre d'un changement de culture positif nécessite des efforts et des contributions à tous les échelons et dans l'ensemble du ministère de la Défense nationale et des Forces armées canadiennes. Comme vous pouvez le constater, nous adoptons une approche exhaustive et coordonnée. Nous travaillons ensemble en vue de la réalisation de notre objectif commun, une équipe de la défense véritablement diversifiée, inclusive et respectueuse de tous ses membres. The opportunity to build a better workplace is before us, and we are building critical momentum currently. There is a long road ahead, but I am absolutely confident that we will get there. Thank you. Merci, and on est maintenant prêt pour vos questions.
Okay, the panelists will now take your questions. Please raise your digital hand and we will call upon you. Our first question comes from Christy Kirkup from the Globe and Mail.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for this opportunity. I'm wondering if you could please speak to what the benchmark or standard is for an individual to be placed on leave when they are under investigation for allegations of sexual misconduct, because we have seen that sometimes individuals are placed on leave after it becomes public that they are under investigation. So if you could just please address what is the benchmark or standard that is in place.
It's very different depending on the case and depending on the type of infraction as well. Usually there is an assessment that is made in terms of one, the safety of the alleged victim as well. So this is the first thing that we need to look at. And then depending on the type of employment and the duties, responsibilities, and the authorities, then a decision is made based on various factors that feed into that decision.
Thank you. And just as a follow-up, perhaps this is a question for Dr. Patterson. I know you mentioned, the fact that there's a development underway of a program to provide independent legal advice. You noted that most provincial and territorial jurisdictions have a similar program that seeks to close the gap for military victims, and that it's expected to be in place early in the fiscal year. Would this apply to civilian members as well, this opportunity for independent legal advice?
Thank you for the question. We are currently developing the parameters for the program in terms of who would be entitled to access this level of support. And so it will involve consideration of a number of factors. So for example, who the perpetrator is, the nature of the infraction or the offense, and where that infraction is going to be heard, whether it will remain within the military justice system or whether it will transfer to the civilian justice system. And another thing we need to look at as part of that is, just as the police are looking at the transfer of jurisdiction, we will need to look at that as well in terms of which of those cases will stay with us to get their legal advice versus which ones would be able to access a provincial program. So still to be determined.
Thank you, Christy. We now move to Jacques Gallant from the Toronto Star.
Hi, my first question is for Dr. Preston. You mentioned the research program that you've launched or are about to launch and talking about collecting data. I know earlier this year you expressed concerns around being able to access good data, especially around perpetration. I was wondering, have there been any improvements in the collection of that data? Do you have access to more data than you did before?
Thank you for the question. We haven't actually begun the formal data collection phase for the research project, although what we were able to do in developing our proposal was to access some files from various databases so that we would have a good understanding of the type of information that's available in order to access it. So we were able to do that, and we did receive our ethics clearance. So now with our ethics clearance, we're currently negotiating the mechanisms for accessing all the data that we're going to need for the study.
Great, thanks. And I guess my other question might be for Lieutenant General Carignan on the justice and accountability front. You mentioned that there would likely be an update in the new year. I'm just wondering, can we expect to see cases actually transferred to civilian authorities in the new year? Is there some kind of timeline in place for that?
I don't have a timeline. I'm not leading this this initiative, but currently the Force Provost Marshal and our military prosecutors are engaging with their civilian counterparts at the provincial level to set the policy on how this is going to be tackled. So all this is currently ongoing to develop the umbrella over how this is going to work. So in terms of actual transfer, more to follow on that, but probably an update brief that is coming up is probably on the overall justice system, and accountability would be the next update that we would be providing.
Thank you, Jacques. Murray Brewster from CBC.
Hello, thank you for taking my question. The first one that I have relates to Madame Arbour's review, and I'm wondering how much of what you're telling us here today could potentially be affected by Madame Arbour's review. Will you have to change anything? And does that cause you any concern?
Like, we are synchronizing our efforts very closely with Madame Arbour. So I personally have regular engagements with her to provide her with the various initiatives that we are launching forward. So there's that aspect, and then she's out there collecting and then engaging with all defense internally and externally, also to conduct her review. She's not sharing her findings with us at all, but this is kind of how we are setting our work forward, is ensuring that we set forward initiatives that is not countering what she may come up with later on. I've reached out to her for some initiatives that we wanted to go ahead with. For example, the exemption to duty to report. We are working on the policy coverage for this thing. So of course I connected with her to ask for her opinion, like, do you want me to go ahead with this? And then she was fine with that. So this is kind of how we proceed with this, with her review. And of course her review may change the way we are building CPCC currently. So we are taking this into account. So we are posturing ourselves to be able to respond very quickly to her potential recommendations, but not knowing what they are exactly. We just, do the best we can to posture ourselves to be ready to respond.
Thank you. And just one follow-up. You said in your statement that you have not necessarily seen this level of appetite for change in your career. I personally have sat through a number of these briefings over the last 17 years. I would like to know what is different and what is making you more confident that change will actually take place this time.
At the very senior leadership, the Chief of Defense is very much engaged. The Deputy Minister is also very much engaged. This is a priority for our department. And as I'm sitting around the same tables with the same colleagues, I see that there's a great change in what they see now. So what was not obvious to us collectively around the table is now being discussed and seen, which is a great difference. So 5 years ago, if I were to ask around the table, like, what are we doing about culture? I would get silence, and now it's not the case at all. So, and we see it throughout the whole structure as well, as we engage at all levels with all the command teams as we travel across the country as well.
Thank you, Murray. Annie Bergeron Oliver from CTV National has a question. Annie, you're on mute.
Sorry. You have announced a number of initiatives today with the aim of changing the culture of the military. This is a broad goal. I'm wondering what success looks like to you in this mission, and how will you know when the military has reached that goal?
So we are doing this work right now with our consultations and in discussion with our subject matter experts. How are we going to frame success? How are we going to measure progress? So this work is currently on their way. Success will look like defense team members who feel psychologically safe showing up to work every day. So this is what success looks like. This is the vision that we are setting forward. Now we will design a framework for measurement of this progress. It's going to be a mix of qualitative and quantitative data to ensure that we can see if we are actually being successful on initiatives, or if we are not being successful, so that we can again go back in and revisit what we are doing.
Okay, great. And my follow-up is sort of what Murray was saying. Obviously, changing the culture of the military is not an easy task, but I'm wondering how long do you think it will take for the military to start seeing progress? As you mentioned, you're seeing a different appetite towards change, and you're putting in a lot of initiatives. How long do you think it'll be before you start seeing some progress?
The horizon that I'm working with right now is 5 years to have instituted and effective, irreversible, positive changes. But we have to understand that keeping vigilance over our culture never ends. So we constantly have to be vigilant over our own culture, and devising mechanisms by which we can keep vigilant via oversight and monitoring will be key going into the future. As a very, very human-centric organization, we will always have conflicts between people, between teams. But there is a sense that we can grow out of this conflictual situation. It will be a matter of how we deal with these conflicts and how we recover from them and keep building the team towards towards cohesion.
Thank you, Annie. Lee Berthiaume, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you for talking to us today. I wanted to just, again, go back to one of Murray's questions. And your answer to him, you basically said that, or credited the current focus on and confidence, if you will, around the leadership, around kind of just, a lot of motivation within the CAF to address this issue. I'm wondering, though, to what degree you would credit the political I guess, in the involvement and political direction to this. Having followed Madame Deschamps' report and seen how that played out, it was really kind of the government of the day left it to the CAF to implement many of those recommendations and whatnot. We've seen a level of political involvement here and interest that I think has been unprecedented. And I'm wondering to what degree you would credit that to this, I guess, appetite for change.
We have weekly meetings with Minister Anand to broach the topic of culture, understand the problem, how we are going to move ahead with the various initiatives, what we see, and all of this. So the minister is very much involved with the Chief of Defense and the DM as well in steering action. So for us, this is very enabling. So I guess this is a dynamic that I currently see with Minister Anand.
And as a follow-up, having spoken to Minister Anand on Monday, she said she's laying the groundwork for the CAF to act and defense team to act quickly once Madame Arbour's final report is delivered. That includes laying the groundwork for external oversight, which I see referenced in the Prime Minister's mandate letter to the minister as well. CAF has historically resisted external oversight. I'm wondering if you can speak to the appetite for external oversight and what preparations are being made, understanding Madame Arbour's report hasn't been finished yet, what preparations are being made to act quickly on such a recommendation should it come down?
So definitely, we are very much looking forward to see Madame Arbour's recommendation and work and respond to that. And the way we are laying out the ground is really what we are doing right now with the CPCC organization. So we are structuring ourselves to be ready to receive and then action her recommendation. So we are setting up various processes in place to be able to exercise, again, an analysis over the recommendations. We will have to design various structures and policies to move ahead with that. So again, building that up is what we are currently doing at the same time as we are launching various culture change initiatives forward. We are very busy.
Thank you, Lee. Now we go to Amanda Connolly from Global.
Hello, can you just confirm that you're able to hear me if that's possible? I was having some tech difficulties there.
Yes, we can hear you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So my question is regarding sexual assault training for military judges. The Office of the former Defense Minister had said, I believe in June, that military justices would be required to get training on sexual assault law, akin to what is being required for civilian judges under the law that was passed in the last session of Parliament. I wonder, can you provide an update on where that stands? Has that training formally begun right now?
I don't have the answer to that, but I'm wondering if Dr. Preston is aware.
Sorry, I don't have the answer to that either.
Okay, are you aware if anything about that that direction has been changed, or if it would change given the direction now to kind of default sexual misconduct offenses over to the civilian system? It seems like because there is still the option to have those going through the military system if civilians elect not to pursue them, that would still be training that you would want to have for military justices.
Yeah, again, this is not our area of expertise, so I think we could probably take the question and answer with the proper subject matter experts.
Amanda, if you want to call into the Media Relations Office, they might be able to direct that question better.
Okay, thank you.
We have a couple of people on the phone who are unable to raise their virtual hands. Are there any questions from the phone lines?
Oui, est-ce que vous m'entendez?
Oui.
Oui, bonjour, Marco Belair-Cirino du Devoir. J'avais une question, là, vous me dites si elle s'adresse à quelqu'un d'autre qu'à vous. Concernant les plaintes là, qui pourraient être en fait confiées à des autorités civiles, donc au directeur des poursuites pénales et criminelles des différentes provinces, est-ce que c'est seulement pour les nouveaux dossiers où il y a des vieux dossiers où il n'y a pas de prescription qui pourraient être ouverts, dans lesquels les autorités militaires avaient décidé de ne pas porter d'accusation, mais que les autorités civiles pourraient décider d'en porter, ou dans le fond, on recommence en date, disons, d'aujourd'hui ou lorsque la mesure sera effective?
Le facteur critique qui va être pris en considération, c'est la victime dans tout ça. Alors, tout dépendamment où le dossier va être rendu, on va s'assurer que c'est dans l'intérêt de la victime là, et en consultation avec la victime aussi quand tout ça va aller vers l'avant. Alors, il n'y aura pas de solution qui s'applique à toutes les plaintes. Il va y avoir une évaluation individuelle où chaque plainte est rendue en consultation avec les victimes là, avant de faire le transfert pour s'assurer que c'est fait là, avec respect.
Et si un dossier avait été où on estimait qu'il y a peut-être 5 ans, 7 ans ou 3 ans, qu'il n'y avait pas suffisamment de preuves pour porter des accusations, est-ce que ces dossiers-là pourraient être ouverts? Est-ce que les victimes qui s'estiment avoir été lésées dans le processus pourraient revenir lorsque les changements seront apportés, ou lorsque des dossiers ont été clos dans le passé, ils sont clos, disons, pour toujours?
Oui, alors cet aspect-là, je pense qu'il va falloir amener la question là, avec nos experts là, dans le domaine. Fait que ça, c'est pas un endroit là, que nous, on couvre. Là, alors, on pourrait prendre la question aussi vers les experts. Tina?
Yeah, Marco, you can call the MRO as well for that one.
OK. Puis, si vous me permettez, j'ai une question. Vous y avez répondu en grande partie en anglais. Pourquoi ne pas attendre le rapport final de l'ancienne juge Louise Arbour? Pourquoi lancer ces initiatives-là? Bien, je comprends que vous travaillez là-dessus depuis plusieurs mois, plusieurs années, mais pourquoi ne pas avoir tenu cette rencontre-là aujourd'hui dans la foulée du dévoilement du rapport de Mme Arbour?
Oh, écoutez, ce serait, pour moi, là, ce serait totalement insensé de ne pas commencer à agir maintenant et d'attendre la publication d'un rapport pour agir. Alors, il y a beaucoup de choses qu'on peut faire, qu'on peut mettre de l'avant. Qui n'ont pas d'impact sur les recommandations de Mme Arbour pour le bien-être de nos gens. Alors, il faut agir et c'est pas vrai qu'on va s'asseoir un an à attendre que Mme Arbour mette son rapport de l'avant pour agir. Et ce qui va être extrêmement important en plus, c'est qu'on se prépare de façon institutionnelle aussi à recevoir les recommandations pour être en mesure d'y répondre le plus rapidement possible une fois qu'elle va avoir déposé son rapport. Parce qu'à ce moment-là, si on n'est pas prêt, bien, c'est un an d'attente avant de pouvoir s'organiser pour faire ce travail-là. Alors, très important qu'on ait commencé à agir maintenant. Ça, c'est pour le bien-être de tous nos gens au sein de la défense.
Merci.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the phones? Are there any other questions from the Zoom participants? That being the case, thank you very much, everybody. And I wish you a good day.
Tina, maybe if I could just do a few closing comments. I just have to say that within the work that we are doing, of course, we are looking ahead a few years in front of us to set the stage for these changes to take place. And I would just like to describe a little bit how this next year is going to feel for us all within the defense. So we had the apology taking place on Monday, and I was absolutely very touched by the apology itself. I had not forecasted how much this would be affecting me as a military member and as a member of this defense team. I had participated to the preparations, to the rehearsal. I had heard the words before, but Monday when I sat down and took the time to hear the apology, I was extremely touched by what was said. So the apology really is a small step towards the future, is a small step towards the healing process that we have to engage in as an institution. And the work that Dr. Preston is doing in terms of restorative engagements over the next 8-10 months is going to be the healing process. So January to the fall, the healing process will take place through the restorative engagements. What we will find out from these engagements will help feed our culture change strategy, understand better and design better actions going forward. Our consultations will end in February. We will put the results of these consultations together through a report with, again, points to act and things to inform our strategy. And then finally, Madame Arbeau's report is going to come and complement very, very nicely in the spring the work that we need to do to build and inform a proper culture change strategy, which I am mandated to publish next December. So this is how next year is going to evolve for us. I find that this is an opportunity to change. I don't think we will have a better setup to conduct these changes, and that's why I'm getting up every day and I'm still serving in my 36th year in the military, and that's what actually keeps me very, very much involved and engaged into our very important organization. So I would just like to thank you all again for joining us. And then we are looking forward to further briefs to update you on the work that we are doing.
Dr. Preston, did you have any closing remarks?
I do not. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. As General Carignan said, we will be sharing information and providing updates regularly as this work continues. Have a good day.